If I could have your attention, we're going to call this meeting to order. If you'd please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
My grandparents' house. Stuff like that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Hoffman.
Here.
Alderman Barilla.
Here.
Alderman Rucker.
Here.
Alderman Morose.
Here.
Alderman Collins. Alderman Osteen.
Here.
I'm here too.
Oh, Mayor Harmson,
Yes.
hi. Hi to see you. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
All right, we have a full house tonight. Good to see. All right, we're going to start off with citizens' communication. This is a time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and the board on any topic that is not a public hearing. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Any questions or comments for the mayor and the board may also be sent to the city clerk at tberreth@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. on the board meeting day, the first and third Thursday of each month. Submitted questions and comments may be read during the citizens' communications section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take any action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The Mayor and the Board of Aldermen welcome and value input and feedback from the public. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in person? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the consent agenda and the approval. As the board had a chance to review the minutes from July 2nd, 2025, our special Board of Aldermen meeting, and the July 2nd, 2025 regular Board of Aldermen meeting, the bills list, and Mayor Hoffman. Sorry. Alderman.
Jumping the gun there a bit, aren't you?
Alderman Hoffman, is the liquor license in order?
Yes, they are.
Very good. Any comments or questions or on the consent agenda? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Barilla, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the consent agenda has been approved. Before we move on to unfinished business, we do have service awards, a couple of them tonight. So move Devin Lake, City Administrator, please. Mayor Hoffman.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. I would like to call Detective Sergeant Brian Salerno forward, please. Brian has been with the city for 20 years.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Congratulations, thank you. All right, we just have one tonight. All right, we're going to move on to unfinished business. First, we have Bill 25-55, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Stockman Construction, LLC for the 2025 rehab of Stations 30-5, project for an amount not to exceed $243,927. This is the second reading. Devin Lake, you going to take this one?
Yep.
All right. Any comments or questions?
Same explanation as last time. This was a budgeted project. Came in under budget. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any comments for Devin? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker, roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
Alderman Collins. Alderman Morose?
Yes.
Alderman Rucker?
Yes.
Alderman Barella?
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman?
Yes.
All right, second reading, Bill 25-55 passes. Next, we'll move on to the financial update. City Administrator Devin Lake.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. We're halfway through the year officially as of June 30th, and our sales tax is actually under, in comparison to last year, by 2.4%, and we are under budget on sales tax 1.9%. However, our expenditures are 19% under budget, and overall revenues, not just sales tax, but altogether are 10% under budget. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Comments from the board or questions? I'll just make a comment. I can see, as a small business owner, I can see that down just a little bit this year. I was kind of thinking last year and this year would be similar, but talking to businesses, I think overall it does seem to be down a little bit. I really don't have an answer for it, but.
The rain didn't help.
Rain.
Right. Yeah. And the projection of rain keeps people home too.
Correct.
Anyway, thank you very much, Devin. All right, we're going to start the night off with a presentation. We do have a presentation of the city's fiscal year 2024 annual comprehensive financial report, or it's our audit from Hood & Associates CPA PC. Michael Keenan, you have the floor.
I'll do a quick Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Yes, I'm happy to reintroduce Michael Keenan with Hood & Associates CPAs. This is Hood & Associates' fifth year to present the audit to the board.
All right, thank you.
Again, good evening. My name is Michael Keenan. I'm from Hood Associates. I'm here to present the results of the financial and compliance audit for fiscal year ended December 31, 2020. Do we have a
Hey, Michael, if you don't mind, they're pointing to, there you go. That or if you want a microphone, either one.
We have handouts. They all have handouts.
Okay, yep.
Would you like a handheld? Would that be easier? Yeah, that's fine. Hopefully this is a little better.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Again, on page 2, a little bit about, well, let me back up. So you should have received in your packet a financial report, the annual comprehensive financial report, also the single audit, which is the expenditures of your federal awards, as well as our required communications to management. So you should have received 3 documents in the reporting package. So a little bit about Hood & Associates. We've been serving Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. We also go what's called through a peer review. That's when an outside independent accounting firm will come in and review our quality control standards, and we've been awarded the highest rating as a result of that review. And we're members of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the AICPA, as well as other professional organizations. And we're licensed to practice in Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Again, the scope of the audit is the annual comprehensive financial report, the larger document. I'd like to point out that the city has received for 25 consecutive years the Certificate in Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association, or the GFOA, and they have submitted the 2024 report for that same award. Very prestigious award. It's not every city or local government doesn't participate in that program, so that's extremely important. Also, in the single audit, we had one major program, and that was expenditures related to your ARPA funding. Next page, page 4. Our responsibilities as your auditors is to conduct our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, as well as government auditing standards, and the uniform guidance. Again, the uniform guidance dictates what procedures we perform related to your federal awards. We're also responsible to plan and perform our audit to attain reasonable assurance, but not absolute assurance, that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. What that means is we take a risk-based approach and test selected transactions. However, we do not test all transactions, so therefore we cannot provide absolute assurance. We're also responsible to report on internal controls over financial reporting, as well as compliance with laws and regulations. On page 5, the Auditing Standards Board of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the ICPA, recommend that we communicate these matters for the governing board. Illegal acts, none came to our attention as a result of us performing our audit procedures. Changes in significant accounting policies, there are no significant changes in accounting policies during 2024. We're pleased to report we had no difficulties or disagreements with management, and we had cooperation, full access to the books and records and any documents that we selected for testing. Page 6, financial and compliant audit really addresses 3 basic questions. The first question, are the basic financial statements free of material misstatement? And our response to that is we have issued what's called an unmodified opinion that indeed the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects, commonly referred to as a clean opinion. That's the highest level of opinion that auditors give on financial statements. The second question, are internal controls over financial reporting operating and designed efficiently? We did not identify any internal control deficiencies that we consider to be material weaknesses. Again, had we done so based on our profession, we are required to report those matters to the governing board. Finally, did the city comply in all material aspects of finance-related laws and regulations? No non-compliance was noted with the finance-related laws and regulations that govern the city's operations. As far as our management letter, we had a few comments and also kind of summarize what I'm reporting now. In the current year, we had a recommendation of key employees and cross-training. Again, cities and businesses alike are subject to the risk of key employees and the loss of key employees and cross-training. The city has provided their response. They're aware of this risk and are taking steps to identify that risk and have succession planning and cross-training. Again, we're reminding various governments that sometimes it's too late when an unexpected accident or someone retires. It really, a lot of that institutional knowledge goes with them. It's sometimes difficult to replace. The second one is capital assets. The city has acquired a number of capital assets over the years, and some of those assets are fully depreciated. We're recommending the city take a physical inventory to identify maybe those assets are no longer in service, and also consider raising the capitalization threshold from $2,000 to $5,000. And the last one, there's a financial future accounting pronouncements. We're down to 3. I'm sure they're going to issue some more sometime soon. But none of those 3 coming up are going to have a significant impact on the city's financial statements. And in the prior year, management has addressed those. We had the comment on financial policy procedures review. That's an ongoing process that the city performs. Also, we had mentioned cybersecurity, which we recommend that's an ever-evolving topic and ever-changing, and that the city is up to standards and continues to monitor that. And finally, Hood and Associates certainly appreciates the opportunity to serve as the auditors of the city of Osage Beach. I want to thank you, Mayor, and thanks to City Administrator Devin. April, I bet you missed the audit this year.
Oh, terribly.
Oh. And most of Carrie and her staff did a fabulous job providing us the information, very professional to work with, and makes our job a lot easier when we're coming in and auditing versus having to correct the books and make journal entries. So we certainly appreciate that. And so that concludes my presentation. I'm open to the floor to any questions that I might be able to answer.
All right, thank you, Michael. Any questions for Michael? Alderman Rucker.
Yes, your comment on the financial policy and procedure review, are you talking about procedural review that is ordinance forms? Or are you talking about, I'm not sure what you're looking at there.
I'd be probably talking more financial-related policies, purchasing, HR, credit cards. Those would affect the
investment
financials.
policies, investment policy.
Investment policy, any of those types that would have an impact on the
So you're just saying they
financial
need to
reporting.
be reviewed, not that you found a need for change. It just need to be.
No, it's an ever-evolving process to review those as laws, regulations change for payroll, as you look at investments and how you want to invest, credit cards. It's just one of those that you always want to keep looking at those to see if those can be improved or if they need to be adjusted.
One more step, one more question. I did mark my book here where I had a concern or a question. On page 11 and 12 in the audit, basically it's financial analysis of the city's major funds. The highlighted areas that I'm concerned with is end-of-year balance. My concern is, and maybe I didn't pay attention enough to this in the prior years, but you have combined water and sewer funds together on showing the final balance on those at year end of 24. Is that been common? Because I guess my concern is I would like to see those shown out separately to where what the balance is for the water and what the balance is for the sewer. We have to do sewer and water rates, and having that availability of all that information is important. So, am I missing something, Carrie?
Back 20 years ago when we did the SRF financing, water was brand new, and it was a board decision to combine the two funds, primarily to help in the financing process. So it has been since we brought water on, these two funds have always been combined for reporting purposes. They're not combined internally. So we have access to the numbers just for this final report.
We have access to, can we pull the numbers out of here, what the ending balance was of water and the ending balance of sewer
Yes.
was for 2024?
Yes.
Okay, if you
Yes.
can get me that number, show me where that's at, I'd like to know what that number is.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Alderman Osteen.
This is more or less a question for the board, and this is going to piggyback on what Kevin just stated. It was the board's decision to combine those for reporting purposes. What is the process for the board basically to change that direction and want those separated out
That's a good question
as opposed to
for-
combined?
It's a good question for Michael. Is
Yeah,
that-
no, you
is that a
can change the
problem?
reporting of that. If you want to report those separately, they're reported internally separately. They can report it on the external report separately. You just have to make that decision.
For me, as long as I can find in this report, like I was on that page there, I was able to go right to that and identify the ending balance of 2024, of which I found that to be a little bit different than what our budget projection was and what our cash thing, and that's fine. And I'll be getting with Carrie and Devin here later to find out what we're going to do with that. What I found was to the plus side, but it was challenging. I couldn't identify specific water and specific sewer. Now, if Carrie's telling me that that's in here, but I just got to find a different page,
No, it's not in here. It's on a separate report. So
I would just maybe I think I would be in support of our future audits to where that the water would be broken out separate and the sewer would be separate to identify, because we have them as separate accounts, separate budgets. And like I said, we do rate structures and rate, all that. I just like to see them separate. Now, if we have to have something because of the financing and the bonds, they're going to be paid off next year anyway.
double check and get back with the board.
As an alternative, I think we could present a combining schedule further back in the financial statements, similar to your non-major funds, although you don't have any, that would show each one separately, but they would be combined like they are now on the financial statement. That may address the combined debt type of thing, but still show from a financial reporting the information that you're looking for.
I'm just looking at it as I feel as my responsibility as elected officials to be way up here high overseeing thing. I just want to look at the big final numbers. I don't want to look at the nitty gritty. And if I just couldn't pick out the water and sewer, I was able to add them together, obviously, and see what's what. But I just would like to see we be separate.
But part of my thought process on this as well, though, wasn't just necessarily for the Board of Aldermen. It was basically generating or getting this information back out to the public and making it easier for them to see or for us to be able to answer their questions regarding the separate water, sewer, et cetera. So it wasn't just, I wasn't thinking about just us and our ease of seeing the numbers. It was going back to the public's eye and letting them be able to see that and see that information.
Let me just check a couple
Yeah,
of things, I'll get back with you.
See what we have.
Okay, thank you, Carrie.
What parameters we have. Thank you.
All right, Carrie's going to get back with us. All right, anything else? All right, Michael, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. And if you have questions later on, anyone, certainly you can get my contact information from Carrie, and I'd be more than happy and answer anybody's questions. Thank you, and have a good evening.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to move on to a discussion item. It's the Lions roadway petition. Devin, you want to take this one too?
I will pass this one off to Jeff.
All right, Jeff Fisher, Public Works Director.
All right, good evening. I guess this is the normal process for petitioning the board to take over a road segment or a road. And Lee Shulman and the Special Road District have been collaborating with the city on this. And so I just jumped in here recently. And so in order to take this road over, there's going to be some engineering and some road improvements before we recommend the city take it over. And so I guess we're looking for authority to spend money on engineering to construct the road the way we need it to, and then have you adopt it.
Here's the other microphone over here that's working. Is this mic working?
This is a discussion item. Does anybody want to weigh in on this? It's going to be the next item of business also, but at this point in time, it's just a discussion item. Did everybody hear what Jeff had to say? Alderman Hoffman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been kind of helping spearhead this with Kerry Patterson, our former engineer, and I sat in with the Special Road District, and this came to light at that meeting, and that the city had previously put money into engineering for roads, but that it hadn't really happened lately. I don't know if it's just because there weren't any roads coming up. But this particular project tackles housing in Osage Beach, affordable housing, and I think we've all been behind it. So I just want to stress that I think this is a really good project, and I give it a total thumbs up.
Alderman Osteen.
I'm just curious if Mr. Schuman in our audience would like to make any statements or comments regarding this, since you are representing the Special Road District.
Please do.
Yes, I'm Lee Schuman, Osage Beach Special Road District. And one of the things I was just wanting to give everyone kind of a refresher course, because prior to 2019, the Special Road District and the city worked hand in hand on these projects. They don't come up too often, but we've had several in the past where the Special Road District would enter a public-private partnership to fund upgrades to a private road, whether it be paved or gravel, bring it up to an acceptable city standard. And then the city, as part of that partnership, would provide the engineering services. Now, at that time, they had in-house engineering department to do that. But they would do everything from the survey work, the engineering, and then the contract administration and inspection. So we were just curious, as we found the opportunity to do that again, bring another private road up to city standards and into city inventory for maintenance. We were curious if that could still be the agreement. We're definitely open to any discussion you may have, and appreciate your partnership in all of these projects. And also, I'd like to say that having Alderman Hoffman attend our meetings is very nice. Just having someone from your board. He's missed a couple. I have to remind him regularly. But it's been nice to have a liaison to meet with us and discuss things monthly. So
Very good. Alderman Rucker.
Well, first of all, Lee, I believe our new Public Works Director, Jeff, will be serving that role. Not that the aldermen aren't welcome, I'm sure, but Jeff will be there from a staff to do that. Second of all, we're seemingly missing a step in this procedure, I believe. It's basically what the board is doing in these situations is, before a lot of money is spent, is basically accepting the fact that we would take the road into our inventory based on certain parameters. And we would have a petition from the property owners stating that they are going to do that. We've had situations in the past where we didn't have one of those pieces of puzzles in place, which was a petition, and that hurt us because we got down to closer to the end, and then we had spent some money, and then the property owners had not signed off, and we did not have the petition, and that project is still open. So, number one, it says petition, so where's the petition from the property owners there saying that once we do this work, what the road district is going to do and what the city is going to provide engineering, they will turn that over to the city, number one. Number two is we also, as a board, in order to make that approval at this point, saying that, yeah, we will approve it when it's done, we need to know to what standard that road is going to be brought up to. If the road is going to be brought up to the standards that are set in our street guidelines, the board doesn't have to make Carrie, do we make approval even if it is brought up to our standards totally?
Yes.
Yes, it's one of those things.
Different kind of approval, though.
Yeah, basically, they all should come to you, okay? And when they come to the board can always say no, and there's a number of reasons why, even if it's built to our design guidelines. If we don't have manpower, if we don't have the ability to financially take the road at this time, the board never has to take any road that is being requested to be taken in. In this particular situation, a little history. The project that we have is a special use permit that the road being redeveloped or improved was part of the SUP requirements as well. This particular situation, and Lee is here, and I think their company is doing the platting for it, but we're working on platting a 40-foot right-of-way that this will go within, correct?
That would be part of the road project.
Okay.
My firm, Alpha Engineering and Surveying, has only performed design and survey services on Mr. Elman's property.
Okay.
I personally have volunteered as a special road district member to do some research in a preliminary design to come up with cost figures and a concept for this roadway. But that wasn't done by my firm.
I guess that's where I'm right now. I'm at a loss because I know we're not at that stage of the meeting. We're still in the discussion stage. But what the board would generally do way back 2019, what we would do is we would have this road presented to us and saying, look, in the present standards, it does not meet the city guidelines. If it meets the city guidelines, then the staff could say, yeah, it meets all the guidelines, and the board should accept it as long as it meets the guidelines. Now, I realize we can deny it saying we don't have enough manpower. But if it doesn't meet the guidelines and the standards, the board can accept it. Staff can't do that. The board has to. And we've done that on streets. But we've known going in what the condition of the road's going to be. In other words, they would say to us, this road will not have curb and gutter, even though it's required by the guidelines. It will not have whatever the guidelines are that you would hand to a developer when he'd walk in the door, and they're saying it won't meet those guidelines at the city, and the board has the authority to allow the road to come in with a lesser acceptable standard. But at this time, the next step would be for us to have those presented to us on what that road's going to visually be, so we would say, yeah, when that work is done, we will accept it. And that's what I don't see here.
Yeah, I mean, so we're in a little bit of a different world than what we used to be, Alderman Rucker. Okay, back in the day, when we had a full-time city engineer and they had a staff, they would provide us with, provide the board with visuals so that you could see what was going on. This is the point still that in the past, the engineering department for the city would come along with, well, not necessarily with the road district, but would come in to get an approval for our people to do the engineering and design work. As far as the actual acceptance of the road, yes, you're right. That came after the board said yes, as part of this project for the road district, our guys can do, or our engineers and designers can do the engineering for the road. But once that was all done, then that's when they brought it to you and said, this is the condition that it's going to be, and you had the opportunity to say whether or not that was suitable for the Board of Aldermen to take in.
Right,
So-
but at this stage, they would give us some kind of an idea of what they had visualized that they wouldn't be able to do based on the just walking out and seeing it. I can think of some
Yeah.
roads that we've had examples of that they were like.
That's because our
Auto lane,
engineers did work up front that we
I
didn't
just hate to
charge
see us
for.
spend a lot of money on the engineering work and all this. If we know going in that we're not going to be doing certain things this road, we do the engineering work, and then the board says after you have the engineering work done, oh, it's not going to have, it's only going to have 9-foot roadways. It's not going to have a 20-foot with, it's not going to have the right-of-ways. It's not, if we know some of that up front, why spend money that we will
So,
waste?
Alderman Rucker, I have an answer for that question. It's on page 129 of your packet, and I even brought a full-size copy if you want to see it.
I've seen that, and that's right, but I'm asking staff to provide me with the information that says how will that not meet city standards, and can they go along with that recommendation? Nothing against your situation, but I'm looking for our staff that would make that recommendation or be able to justify that recommendation and tell me what it does not meet within our standards. That's what I'm looking for.
I
And
can
don't see that here.
speak to it a little bit right now if you'd like.
Well, that'd probably be part of the, once we get to the next level, this is a discussion at this time, and motion direct the engineer is probably where to do that, so.
And this is for Kevin or Carrie. Didn't we have a similar situation regarding Autumn Lane? Wasn't that one where we wanted to set that in the city inventory and it was not going to meet our guidelines? So I think that'd be a good reference point for this project as far as the process, when information was provided to the board, how it basically deviated from our plans and the ordinances and specs. Because I think that was the last one we had where we took an inventory that didn't meet our standards, but we still accepted it and signed off on it.
Yeah. Actually, I believe Gamble, the half portion of Gamble Circle that the road district did a year and a half ago, back in '23, is probably the last thing that we took that didn't meet our design guidelines. But that was a 3-inch overlay, not a new road. This particular situation, there are several different things. One, there's no right-of-way. Okay, so the road that goes back and services this property is through private property. There might be some domain easement type of thing, but there's nothing that we could latch on as right-of-way. So right-of-way is going to need to be created with all the property owners in between Airport Road and this particular piece. The one shortfall that we have right now that kind of answered the questions that Alderman Rucker is bringing up is we don't have, I'll go ahead and throw out we don't have a Nick that's here working with the board, the road district, and has a staff that can put together the things that you're asking for now. Of course, we do have Jeff and his group, but they would kind of do a preliminary engineering saying, we're not going to put a sidewalk on both sides, or we're only going to put a sidewalk on one side. We're not going to put curb and gutter and all of those things. The people that would do that now would be whoever we would contract as engineers. It would be Cochran, but they're not just working for us and doing kind of the upfront freebie stuff. That's the difference between now and, the days that you're talking.
Alderman Morose.
I have a question, and maybe it's off or not, but I've not driven down that road, but it does, when you go on it, it just goes down, and does it dead end where the apartments will be, or, I mean...
Yes, it dead ends at the applicant's.
Sorry?
Yes, it dead ends at the applicant's property currently.
Okay.
And would be that way once it's, built. Right now, it's just a gravel road.
Right,
Alderman
right.
Morose. So, what we're talking about is kind of an upgrade, a typical upgrade that I don't believe we would typically require to meet city design guidelines. It would need to be upgraded to the point where it's not gravel and per the engineers could handle the traffic that is going to be borne by the new development.
So the traffic basically will be the people that'll be living in those homes or apartments, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There's La Roca Dance Club has a driveway.
sorry?
La Roca Dance Club has a driveway off of it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they'd probably start using that road more once it's paved because their main driveway is gravel. Then you also have a boat storage facility on that road. And then at the very end of the road, there's just a private shop building that I think someone uses for their personal stores.
Okay.
So there are four private property owners total. When I did some preliminary property research to get right-of-way, it looks like there should only be 2 of the property owners that grant right-of-way. And one of them is here tonight. He'd be granting where the new cul-de-sac would go, and that cul-de-sac would meet your city design guidelines. The one thing we did not put in this concept is concrete curb and gutter on each side. We're designing it as though it were a local street, less than 400 ADT, so it didn't have sidewalk in it. But that's the only thing I could figure is we were just wanting to do a good layer of pavement, a good layer of base rock so that the road has a good design life of 20 to 25 years. And then ditching. Right now, the road lacks some stormwater control. So.
And the tributary road being Airport Road does not have curb and gutter either. So, you can create your own problems if you require curb and gutter to go into a main road that does not have curb and gutter itself. So that's where we're at on that. I think Alderman Rucker, what this is, and candidly, I wasn't involved with this being put on here, but the basics of it is this is a request to have Cochran basically perform the work that you're talking about needing before the city would take it in.
Jeff, you want to go ahead? Since we've got this deep, you might as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I would suggest let me and my team work with Lee, design it to be an appropriate road for that area, which has already been described in some detail, which is a rural road section like you have on Airport Road, and ditches, and get us 20 years, 25 years of life out of it. I would say that it's a great candidate, in my opinion, to be a double chip seal and not spend 3 times as much on asphalt and still get the same life. Other than that, just making sure it drains well and it services the property owners on that road. It'd be a good road. I don't think it takes any engineering except what we'll do with Lee.
Alderman Hoffman.
I just wanted to point out one other thing. This road is very close to our airport, and we are constantly trying to improve our airports and the things around them. And, a nice, good-looking road with some nice apartments over there is a better look for everyone stopping in and getting fuel and stopping for the weekend than a pothole gravel road. Just something to think about.
I agree.
Exactly. All right, anything more on the discussion portion of this before we move on to the motion?
I just have a comment.
Yes,
I
Alderman Brella.
think that Lee's probably well aware of our city ordinances and guidelines, and have full faith in him and Jeff working that out.
Yeah, me too. All right, Lee, thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
All right, next we're going to move on to the motion portion of this. It's a motion to direct engineering to pursue the design of Lyons Road in cooperation with Osage Beach Special Road District.
So move.
All right. We have a first?
I want to make a comment.
No, that's fine. Do we have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman. We have a first and a second. Further comment?
I would just want to say that, thank you for the information. What I needed was what Jeff provided at the end was basically what the road's going to look like, the fact that it doesn't meet city standards now, how they're going to upgrade it, and that's the information I was looking for that we needed so that the board could see, because basically the board's saying, you do all that and we will approve it in city inventory, and that's, so we're not wasting money. So thank you.
All right. Any further discussion?
I was just going to make a request that perhaps we revise the verbiage as far as to direct engineering, quote unquote, to be a little more specific, since we're really not directing engineering per se.
We still have an engineering department.
So it's still
believe
engineering
this is more-
department, just interim. Okay. I was just trying to,
I understand.
that's all.
All right, we have a first and a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Next, we have Bill 25-56, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, establishing a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest for certain municipal officials. This is the first reading. City Clerk Tara Barrett.
Thank you, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. This is an ordinance that we do every year. It's a conflict of interest ordinance. It just helps you guys don't have to do financial disclosure statements. It's required by state statute that we have one on file when we report stuff to the MEC. The only two that have to report are Devon and Cole, and they're the ones that are exempt from this, but this will affect all of you. I just ask for approval. Thank you.
Any comments for Tara? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve? Oh,
Motion
sorry.
to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Osteen, second Alderman Morose. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next, we move on to Bill 25-58, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the School of the Osage and the City of Osage Beach for services for the school resource officer. Chief Davis, please.
Mayor and members of the board, this is a request to renew the agreement between School of the Osage and the city to provide the school resource officers at the high school, middle school, and upper elementary. The school district will pay 75% of each officer's salary and benefits. The city and the school district have had a partnership since 2009. We actually had it a long time before that, but that's when we started the contracts again. And both parties believe that this is a valuable partnership to ensure the safety of our children. The only changes to the agreement is actually the cost to the school this year. That we increased it from last year to meet our increases in budgeting. Recommend approval.
Is there a timeline? Is that why the first and second tonight, Chief?
Yes. Excuse me?
Timeline, is that why the first and second?
Yes, sir. Our current agreement expires July 31st, and we send the new bill out 1st of August.
Very good. All right, so this is the first and second. Do I have any questions for the chief?
I have a question.
Yes, Alderman Rose.
Have they always been available to do this service Tuesday through Friday and not Monday?
We switched Monday through Friday, or Tuesday through Friday when the school switched to the 4-day week.
Okay,
So
There's no school sitting
There's no
session
school on Monday.
On Mondays.
okay. Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
So moved.
Alderman Barella. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, first reading passes. Second reading, same bill, 25-58, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the School of the Osage and the City of Osage Beach for services and school resource officers. Second reading. Seeing no further questions, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman, who said that?
What's my name?
Oh, Osteen.
Is it Mayor Osteen or?
I couldn't tell over there. All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Barella.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Collins. Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
Alderman Morose.
Yes.
All right, second reading, Bill 25-58 also passes.
Mr. Mayor, if I could real quick.
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Ellerman just was waving real quick.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
I did want to take the time to thank everyone personally for standing behind me and my project. I have a lot of pride, obviously,
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next we have a discussion item. Discussion to remove the city engineer and add a project manager position. City Administrator Devin Lake.
Good evening. So since our city engineer is no longer with us, I have been in discussions with Jeff in regards on to how to move this forward. So our recommendation is that we remove the city engineer position and we add a project manager position in its place. There's two reasons for that. Number one, a city of our size does not have the design work that can constitute keeping a full-time city engineer busy. Most of the work that Drew did was project management, to be honest, contract management, keeping track of pay applications and bid openings and pre-bid conferences and managing the construction inspector. The second reason is because the engineers are so specialized in their niches that in order to meet the need here, you would more than likely need at least 2, if not 3 engineers. As you know, Drew was a traffic engineer. He felt comfortable with traffic design, but he did not feel comfortable with wastewater and water, airport, parks, stuff like that. So we are proposing to make this a project manager position and then use third-party engineering firms to meet the needs that we need and use those people for their design services where they are specialized, manage those on-call third-party engineers to make sure we're getting the best value for that work. And then once the design is complete, we bring everything else in here to be done by the project manager and our construction inspector from the time that the design is done until the project is closed out. Jeff, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Okay, hear me? Okay. Like Devin, I have quite a bit of experience in this model. My first experience in local government, we did not have a city engineer, a PE, civil engineer, and it was a third party, just like you have now, and it worked very well, and that town was just a little bit bigger than this one. It was a really fast-growing town, like really fast at that time. And so that's what I grew up in local government, and it works really well. And so I guess what I would suggest is I'm confident that especially with the talent we have on this team in City Hall and in Public Works, that we'll get even better about how we do things than we have. And it's not that we've been doing it bad, we haven't. But if we get better in response times, if we get better outcomes out in the field, if we get infrastructure that's simple to maintain, we have the right people on this team to do this. We just have to organize a little bit differently. And so we can do this. You don't need a city engineer. You just need someone who knows what they're doing, that knows how to manage projects and knows how to respond to developers. I mean, me and Carrie and Ron and others, Devin, have been managing this, and we'll get even better at that. But we've stayed on top of the things that have come in the queue since Drew's departure. And I think talking to an alderman earlier today, he mentioned, whenever we lose people, we should evaluate the circumstances, the situation we have, the resources we have, the skills, and over time our skill sets change in an organization, right? And so when you lose someone, you might not need that exact same role that you needed 10 years ago or 5 years ago, because you have different skill sets around that. And so I think that's where we're at, is we have that, we have good skill sets, you got a really talented staff, and I tell you, this is my 5th organization, right? So I know what talent looks like, and you do. You've assembled some good talent. And I think we're very capable of managing this and providing higher value than we have before.
And before we go to discussion item, I just want to say too, because I can't remember who was all on the board when we first got our engineer, but, you know, I was in favor of a city engineer, and I thought it was a great idea. I'm all about customer service here at the city. My thinking at the time was somebody comes in, a developer, and they have a project and they want to meet with the powers that be. And so we get the city planner, we get the building inspector, and boy, would it be nice to have a city engineer to have it all right here rather than having to outsource. And I thought that was great. The developers come in, one-stop shopping. And concept was great. However, I think we quickly found out that that one person, not saying anything bad about that person, but to be knowledgeable, every aspects of engineering was too much to ask. And so what ended up happening was somebody would come in, same scenario, and they would ask a question that the city engineer didn't know about. So we had to outsource it anyway, or we got backlogged. I'm in full support of this. Now that project manager can sit down with that same group of people when they come in, and they have a question about roads or whatever it may be, and then at that point in time, they can get it to a specialist and actually end up saving more time, saving money, and we can be more efficient. So I love the concept. They sold me on it, so I just wanted to speak my piece before we go into discussion. So, Alderman Hoffman.
I see a lot of pros to this, but I see some cons too. And one of them is one of the reasons that we brought on an engineer was to try and cut some of the spending that we were doing with engineering firms. And not that I thought that any of the engineering firms were bad. I thought they were all good at what they do. But, you know, just as an example, we ended up with a $150,000 bathroom that I think maybe was over-designed. And I think there were some other things that were maybe over-designed. And one of my concerns is, will this project manager have enough knowledge and to basically say, no, this is wrong, to an engineering firm?
My experience of the 20 plus years, that's the director of public works responsibility, is to manage costs, including the engineering team. So I am not afraid to challenge engineering. And you heard me mention earlier, I don't want to spend money, and we talked the other day about something. I don't want to spend money on soft costs, engineering costs, if we don't have to. There's things that we're doing or we've been doing that we will first go to the engineer or third-party engineers that we don't need to do. And so that's my job, is to control those costs on engineering. And I'm happy to do that.
Okay. And my second question, how does this change the structure of the tree? This is an appointed position. Is the public work, or is this now a hired position? What's the change?
We are proposing it to be a hired position.
And they would directly report to Jeff?
Correct.
I still see this as a bit of a risk and a gamble, but I'm in support of it because I think that we should trust you guys to, if you have a really good idea and you think this confidently in it, you know, I'm willing to support it based on your two knowledge and moving forward in that direction.
Thank you. I know costs are important, and they are. And so I have to balance costs, too, with making sure you get the value you're expecting out of public works, out of the infrastructure that we're building and maintaining. So I appreciate it.
Okay.
Alderman Barilla.
Well, I think my opinion is, please don't think that I'm discrediting, or I appreciate you guys' opinions too, but I think that this warrants further discussion, and it'd be my preference to table it, especially since we have strategic planning, and because it is to cut the costs. And not only that, like, I've received complaints, and today I've received another complaint of projects and where an engineering firm is over it, but they're not being monitored, and they don't have it's not in their best interest to keep it in the timeline. So I just have concerns with that I'd like to discuss further.
Well, this is a discussion first, and then the next will be the resolution. But Alderman Rucker, did you have something too?
I do, but I was going to wait my turn.
Okay. No, I thought I saw your hand up earlier, so I was just going to go down the line.
No,
So-
I will before we're done here.
All right, Alderman Osteen.
Okay, so I'm not opposed to what is being put before us. I do have issues and do oppose part of this process and how it's being presented to us. I would think that if we're going to remove position and replace it with position, granted not in the same capacity, that we would be provided a copy of the job description for that project manager. So therefore, as part of the packet, we can look at the job description for the new project manager versus the city engineer and get a better understanding of the diminished responsibilities. Secondly, regarding the pay grades, I'm just curious of what data we use to decide that the new project manager is going to be at a grade 11. Just a little bit more supporting information as opposed to let's remove this position and plug in this new position. Okay, well, what's the responsibilities of that new position? Where do I find that in my packet? Or do I have to go through a fact-finding hunt of my own? I'm not opposed to this. I just think there should have been more information provided for consideration from the board and to be able to do a little bit more research on, okay, what responsibilities is this new project manager not going to have that the city engineer would? And have it spelled out in black and white in front of us, as opposed to, once again, doing a fact-finding mission, making calls, et cetera. I do support Alderman Barella's request to table this because I would like to have that information before we go ahead and formally replace this position and then go on to the next bill.
So we do have a draft job description. We've been working on that, Jeff and I have. So we will be happy to send that draft out. As far as the pay is concerned, so I also came from an organization where this was the structure, and I actually served in this role. So
I support this.
That's where the pay
I just think we
came
needed,
from.
as a board, before we pull the trigger, more information before we actually pull the trigger.
Sure.
But yes, I do support it. Just, I want to have the details. You know, dot the i's, cross the t's kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Alderman Rucker.
Well, it's interesting. I've had hour and a half, 2-hour meetings twice this week with Jeff and Devin on the subject. And it's interesting, you just think of the questions I ask and the questions that the board has asked. I've asked all those, and I'm satisfied with the answer. I'm ready to move forward. But I have those answers. I asked those questions in my meeting, and I received the answers. And I had some reservations, but I'm ready to move forward. But I've got the answers to the questions that you guys asked, and so I'm ready. I believe, as I expressed to Jeff, you know, whenever we have an opening, obviously we need to fill that quickly. That's been a concern of the boards and staff that we take too daggone long to fill a position. And so staff is doing what we have asked them to do and evaluate the position that is open and move fast and move forward. And that's what they've done. They've evaluated it. They've determined that there's a better way to do it. I had a lot of discussion, and they've determined and convinced me why it's a better way to do it. I'm ready to support it. I wasn't at 12 o'clock today because my meeting this afternoon was the second meeting I had. And if we want to table it, I would only be in, I want to move quickly. We have our meeting next Thursday, which is our strategic meeting, or Wednesday.
Wednesday,
whatever it is, it's on my calendar. Wednesday, I think. But if we feel there's a need to do it, but we need to move quickly because, and again, that's the reason I'm in support. I've had a lot more in-depth discussion than you folks probably have had with staff. So
I will be happy to send out the job description, but in short, we're just going to take the design portion away from the engineer. That's design and plan review.
the job description is quite more extensive. I've reviewed it again. I have something else too. But, and this is, again, I support it. But Devin, we've put in place some, I don't know how many, third-party agreements with engineering firms now, right? We've got like 3 or 4
I think
of those.
there's 3 or 4, yeah.
Can we utilize those and add to that to help provide this support service that we already have, or are we going to have to redo those agreements? Do they not say what you need?
So there's not, first of all, there's not very many. Second of all, I think that was done in like 18, if I remember right.
We did a couple in 23 or early 24, but they were more
Was it for the
construction management plan review type.
I thought we did one for our airport, we did one for.
We did
for
CMT,
sewer.
Horner and Schifrin,
I would just say,
Alpha.
let me just say this, rather than getting into that, can you review them to see
Yes.
where they stand? I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can't get more if we need them, but we ought to look at those that we have, see if they meet our criteria or whatever before we go getting a whole batch in, or before we adding to it. Just, that needs to be looked at.
Sure.
We have several on-call engineers from large, very capable firms. We didn't RFQ those with design in mind, but Horner and Schifrin and CMT, Alpha, I mean, very capable firms can do a lot of what we're talking about. Couldn't do all, I don't know, I'm not an engineer. But we have a lot of capability at our fingertips, but it's quite possible we may not have somebody who can design a water tower,
Just need
for
to
instance.
relook at them so we
I
don't
bet
have
we
some
do,
stuff
but-
hanging out there and,
We will, yes,
but
absolutely.
anyway.
All right, before we move on to the resolution portion of this, any more on the discussion item? All right. Next, we're going to move on to Resolution 2025-20, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, stating facts and reasons for the necessity to the fiscal year 2025 removing city engineer and adding project manager. Devin or Jeff, you have anything else before we? All right. Any other discussion on this? This is a resolution, so we will be voting on it, or anything else you want to have discussed? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Okay, so just to clarify, sorry, back on procedural. So we passed the resolution, but if we wanted to table the actual implementation, that would be in the bill portion, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
We passed the resolution, but if we're wanting to table the actual implementation of this position, that would be in the bill section, not the resolution section?
So you can table the resolution if you want, but the resolution just is a precursor to the bill. So yeah, you can pass the resolution, have the resolution done.
Okay.
And then if the bill is tabled, you could also do first reading tonight on the bill and get the information for second reading if you wanted to go that route. But yes, the resolution is,
Okay, and I'm not trying to be a stickler and hold up the process. I agreed with Kevin that we should move swiftly on filling these roles, but I'm not going to agree to hire in a position where I've not seen a job description. I think any member of this board that would do that would not be looked highly upon.
Basically, the resolution, you're in support of,
Doing the change.
I've not heard any board member say they're not in support of this.
Correct.
That's what the resolution does.
it's the idea.
The ideal, right. It's not putting a time frame on it, but it's saying, that's what I understand the resolution.
Yeah, like I said, I support it. I'm just trying to think through legalities and process moving forward.
If I could, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Alderman Osteen, that I don't want to approve something without seeing a job description either. But it's a first reading, and I would be okay with trusting the staff to get us that before the second reading, knowing that it's going to probably be a no vote if they don't get it to us.
Yeah.
That way it's not slowed down by a table and a first reading and a second reading.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Hoffman,
Yes.
Alderman Barilla,
No.
Alderman Rucker,
Yes.
Alderman Rose,
Yes.
Alderman Collins, Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
All right, resolution passes. Next, we're going to move on to Bill 25-59, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 24.93, adopting the 2025 annual operating budget by removing and adding job titles within the fiscal year 2025 employee plan. First reading. Devin Lake, please.
I have nothing further.
This is the first reading. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, Bill 25-59 passes first reading. Next, we have Bill 25-60, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, approving a funding agreement for consideration of the Osage Beach Investment Group LLC proposal for tax increment incentive support for the Osage Beach Outlet Mall. First reading, City Attorney Cole Bradbury.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This is a standard city funding agreement to allow the developer to make a deposit to pay city consultants, which we anticipate to be Gilmore and Bell and Columbia Capital, to begin plant review of an application, a forthcoming application for tax incentives for a redevelopment plan for the Osage Beach Outlet Marketplace, affectionately known as the Outlet Mall. We've been meeting with the developers over the last several months. I've seen some great plans, some very exciting plans, and we are getting down to brass tacks, which requires the help of outside consultants, namely Mark and Jeff, to take a look at their plans. We are anticipating an application sometime in the next, let's call it 60 days, hopefully sooner than that, but you know how these things go. But hope to see an application sometime in the next couple of months and have some more great news for you to share at that time. So all this does is authorize the city to accept a deposit from the developer to pay our outside consultants so that the taxpayers are not paying for private development, and staff recommends approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions from the board? Alderman Hoffman.
Just a comment, and this is basically out to the public. I field questions all the time about what's going on with the Outlet Mall. I get asked on the radio. I get text messages all the time. This should tell the public that confidentially there's been a lot of work going on by the developer, by our staff, by our elected officials. I would say that it has been very positive, and this is probably your first glimpse of knowing that that the project is moving forward. And I know I feel very optimistic about the direction it's going, and I thank everyone involved thus far.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? All right. Do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Osteen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next, we have a motion to direct the Parks Department to solicit bids for ball field and concession management for the 2026 season through a request for proposal process. We really need to change your name on these. You don't know how many times I've almost said your full name. Eric Gregory, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. As the agenda says, this is permission from the board to solicit bids for ball field concession management through the RFP process for next year's season. As many on the board may know, we did have a similar contract with Ballparks National last year. In my opinion, overall, it was successful. There was some hiccups with the contract itself, not specific to Ballparks National, but it was certainly financially beneficial to the city. One of the advantages of it is if there are rainouts, if there's cancellations, the city still gets paid. I put that in context because in 2023, we had 5 tournaments canceled when we were managing it, and that's money the city's out. There's nothing we can do about that. So another advantage is we don't have to hire as many seasonal staff. That is always a challenge every year. Currently, we pay $15.68 an hour, and Wood Supermarket pays $18 an hour. Menards pays $18 an hour, $20 an hour if you work on the weekends, and it's hard to compete with that. Plus, if they're older kids, if they're college age, they can go to any number of lakeside bars and make a lot more money than that. So it's hard to compete with that. We were very aggressive trying to recruit seasonal help this year. I reached out to LCTC and went to recruiting fairs to Osage Beach High School, flyers everywhere, social media, and it's just hard to get help for that amount of money. Without seasonal staff, fortunately this year, as you all know, we did enter into a contract with local scout group. It's been very good. They're available most of the time. However, last week we had a 4-day baseball tournament. Well, all of them were at camp. Not their fault. It was scheduled ahead of time, but that left it to myself and Caitlin, our recreation specialist, to staff and maintain the concession stand every day. And it was a lot. It was a very large tournament, and I think Friday night we had a line for 3 hours straight, and without extra help, it's a lot on you. So at the end of the day, a contract such as this, it basically leaves the park staff more time to concentrate on park improvement projects and, most importantly, family-friendly events, which we're trying to expand. I think that's very important. We have our traditional events, but this year we've expanded into park movie nights. We've expanded into events at the dog park, and we want to do more. But I'm a little concerned about next season. The tournament directors that we do work with, actually recently, they've expressed interest in possible bidding on a contract like this, and they have all expressed interest into reserving more facilities, especially the recent one, athletics. They approached me after last week's tournament and said, we are very interested in partnering for multiple large tournaments throughout the summer next year. So again, if we have the same staffing challenges, that's going to be a lot on our staff. We only have 5 full-time. We have a very talented parks team. I'm very proud of them and everything they do. But just to put it in context, May and June, you have Little League season, Little League games 1 to 2 nights a week, slow pitch softball league 2 nights a week, church league 1 night a week, and that's aside from all the regular rentals for practices. And then whenever you go back-to-back weekend tournaments, it's a lot for a small staff. So I want to point out the updated request for proposal will not include Little League. We felt it's very important that we maintain a community presence, so the Parks Department will be coordinating the Little League if we move forward with this, and we also will be handling the sponsorship. That was included last year. Ballparks National controlled the sponsorship, but we will be controlling sponsorship in Little League if the board wants to move forward with this and we award a contract to an organization. At the end of the day, Parks Department, we're not full-time tournament directors. We don't have the marketing staff that one of these tournament companies does. This is what they do. This is their mission. We're a Parks and Rec department that also has a sports complex, and we try to do both. But if we have a very busy season with a lot of tournaments, it's going to be very difficult to do both effectively. And we're going to have to concentrate on efforts on just the tournaments. And if that's what the board wants, I'm certainly happy to go in that direction. But again, I feel like we need to be doing more for local communities and families and more events to cater to children, So that's the beauty of a contract like this. I do want to point out that I was made aware that Ballparks National, if we do an RFP, are not interested in partnering with the city. So you can take them out of the equation. So other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions and recommend approval.
Before we get into discussion, I just wanted to point out, just to be clear, that this is a request for a proposal. Does not mean we are making a decision not to have our ball fields next year. This is just simply saying, hey, just throw it out there, and if we get, maybe nobody will apply, maybe 10 will apply. But then once we get that application, then we can take a look, see what we made this year, see if it makes sense. So this is simply moving forward about the possibilities. I just want to make that clear. Comments or questions? Alderman Osteen.
Just one question for Eric, and this is just curiosity. Timing of the year? It seems awful early to be putting out bids for contracts for summer 2026 when we're just now midway through 25. I'm just curious on
tournament directors are already reaching out to me to schedule
Okay.
dates next year.
Okay.
They want to get the dates locked into place so that they can plan ahead
I
accordingly.
just want to make sure we weren't too early, that we were going to miss out on potential bids because people were like, oh,
No.
it's too early in the year, we're too busy right now.
These companies plan ahead.
Okay,
a long
that's all,
ways.
just question the time.
All right, any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next, we have a discussion of Highway 42 TAP Grant Project. City Administrator Devin Lake.
So I don't think we've had an update on this project for quite some time. MoDOT came to the city last week, not unannounced, but in a short notice. Basically to let us know that we were at risk and not in good standing in regards to our TAP grant. To make it short, we basically have two options at this point. There are some easements right-of-way that we have not been able to obtain through negotiations with the property owners. So at this point, the two options are we can obtain the appraisals and offer those property owners fair market value for the property that we need to complete this project. Or two, we back out of the TAP grant, which would involve potentially having to pay back the amount that's been reimbursed up to this point, and then taking the risk of not receiving any additional TAP grant funds for the foreseeable future. I would recommend, since at least the cost of getting the appraisals is minimal, that I believe the city should proceed with doing the appraisals and find out what the financial commitment is on the fair market value. And then we would, of course, bring those back to you for approval to see if you want to move forward at that point. There are other options outside after these steps are taken, but we have to choose one of these two courses at this time.
Alderman Rucker.
Can we not move the sidewalk?
Not until we have exhausted this.
Sorry.
Not until we have exhausted this option, because these are the plans that were approved for that project.
Okay, so if they come back, if they're extremely expensive, or we can make the case, then we possibly could take the case back to MoDOT to see if we can move it.
There would be a step between there. We would have to be denied before we could move it.
Alderman Hoffman.
I had a discussion with someone from MoDOT a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I was told, that we could essentially reapply or negotiate for better terms, that we don't have to necessarily stick with the deal we have that might not be a good one. Is that the case?
Renegotiate the grant?
Our financial commitment to the project.
I guess I don't the grant was awarded based on the project scope that was presented, and so that is what we are locked into at this point. I don't know what we could negotiate without foregoing this grant and just reapplying again.
Okay, so can someone bring me up to speed on, because I wasn't here when this got approved, how much were we going to be involved with financially, and how much are we now in financially?
So the grant, so the grant funds are $455, almost $456,000 is what we would be receiving from MoDOT.
But how much are we putting in to finish this project?
We would be putting in essentially probably $600,000 to $700,000 into the project.
I just do not see how it is fiscally responsible to spend $700,000 on sidewalks. I haven't had a single constituent come up to me and beg for sidewalks. And I like sidewalks. I don't like sidewalks at $700,000. So I just don't see any reason to move forward with this project. And I'm sorry if that puts us in, MoDOT doesn't like it, but I wasn't here when we agreed to it, and I'm not going to support putting $700,000 into sidewalks.
I believe this was brought forward as a safety concern due to the school being there.
Yep.
Alderman Osteen.
That is one of the concerns and the big issues around this project, was because it was presented to the city regarding a safety issue for the school. And of course, with that in mind, the city was 100% behind this, because I don't want to say we are necessarily back to a corner, but when it comes to safety of the children at the school walking along the side of a major roadway with no sidewalks, that obviously does not look good in the public eye. And that's why this was basically received very well within the community. Now, once again, we're in a position, though, where I believe our buy-in to this has far exceeded what we initially had discussed or thought it was going to be. So, I mean, I'm in agreement on the cost not seeming like it's something I would like to move forward with, but you've got to trade that off with what is it going to provide? How is it going to be perceived in the public eye, especially for something involving the school? And you can drive down 42 anytime during the day and see children walking along that roadway, so it's a huge safety concern issue. But like I said, I don't want to say we're back into a corner, but for us to pull the plug on this, there's going to be massive fallout from the community as well as from the school districts.
Well, and I need to point out too, I'm sorry, Alderman Rucker, but I was just reading here too, that if you'll look on page 2, it does talk about if we were to back out of the grant, there'd be a risk that we would have to pay back a portion of the engineering. You're talking about tune of about $71,000. So, Alderman Rucker.
The other thing we have to understand is we have a park down there that we have plans at some point in time to put a splash pad into, which is going to draw a lot of kids, we hope. So, you know, we have another situation down there that we're hoping to draw people to. And again, that's what the safety of the sidewalk would provide as well. It is not a cheap project, but it's a pretty good sized project. And all we have to do is just make one more person safe on that road. I drive it a lot. I used to drive it a whole bunch more with my school bus when I drove. And from a school bus driver standpoint, when school was out, there was kids there. People say, oh, well, they don't use it, they won't use it, they won't use it. Trust me, I can't say they're using it right now when school is out because I haven't driven it, but they did for 3 or 4 years that I drove the school bus. When I'd come down that road, there'd be kids walking alongside that road, and there's certain areas of it, it's difficult to not be on the road because there's so little area. So it's a little more, it's a costly proposition, but I continue to support it.
Anything else on the discussion portion? Alderman Hoffman.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to counter back to how far are we supposed to make things perfectly safe? How far away from a school are we supposed to do that? I don't know the answer to that, but I question why we are the ones, our taxpayers are the ones that are picking up such a large amount of money for this project. I'm not convinced that we're spending it wisely to make it safe for the kids. And I believe that's a high school over there, is it not, Chief?
High school, middle school, and upper elementary.
Okay, I don't know how many of them travel down to our park. I doubt any of them are going to be going down to use the splash pad, but they may be walking down to the park. I just look at this and think, yeah, it's a good idea. It's just not a good idea at that cost.
Any other discussion?
Clarification, that is all, what we're doing will be totally within the city. Okay, I just want to make sure. I was 99% sure of that, but after those remarks, I was thinking maybe it was outside the city limit, but they're all inside the city. Thank you.
One last question,
Sure.
if I could. Motion to direct staff to forward.
That's the next one, yeah.
Right, but so are we just giving permission or okaying staff to get appraisals on?
Right now we're discussion.
No, I know, but we get to the next thing.
Yes.
I want to know what I'm voting
Sorry.
on here. Are we we're not committing to the project, we're just committing to
yeah.
doing the appraisals on it?
The project's already been committed to.
Well, we could pull out of it, correct?
Correct, but this would be voting for us to move forward with getting the appraisals to obtain the right-of-way that we need to complete the project. When we receive those costs of what that will be, I will bring that back.
Okay, and do we have any kind of ballpark on that?
$2,000?
I think the appraisals will be around $2,000 or less.
Oh, okay.
It's not a lot.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Morales.
I'd just like to clarify, because it's been a while since I looked at the diagram. This goes from the school to Columbia Road? Okay. Well, it seems to me that, I don't know, children walking, if they're going to Columbia Road, that's a long way for them to go up to where they live off of Columbia. And I'm just questioning that. You want to add to that, Alderman Rucker? To go that far, in other words, from the school maybe after, past the parks, but then to go all the way to the signal, it just seems like that's some extra expense.
Alderman Osteen.
I'll defer to Kevin.
Okay. Alderman Rucker.
Also, you might want to know that that's going to Columbia. The Osage Beach Special Road District is working on a project that they are trying to complete, which if you go all the way back up to Osage Beach Parkway to in front of the Steak and Shake, where the sidewalk ends, to take a sidewalk from there over and to 42 and then down 42 to the first road there that comes off of 42.
Columbia.
Columbia
No,
Road.
not Columbia. They're not going all the way to Columbia. They're only going to Jesse and Andy, okay? Because that's where they are going to, and that will dump off into the parking lot of Lowe's. And so there's pieces being put together so that, you know, I mean, that's the whole idea of the sidewalk project, is put all these pieces together so that eventually, I mean, you've got a lot of kids that live over off Mace Road. And I mean, that's kind of a pathway that you're kind of trying to make. And this is just another piece of it. This is a bigger piece of it. So, I mean, there's those pieces, and then it's going to Columbia, which goes down back that way, back down D Road. You know, so there's ways that this thing's all being pieced together. It'd be nice if we could do it all at one time, but I mean, this is just a piece of it, and it just is a big piece. And when we applied for it, it got high ratings because of the rating capabilities that they give for roads that, you know, would be serving kids and stuff. So it does stop at Columbia, but there's other pieces of this thing that are separate from this that are being put together as well. So.
Alderman Osteen.
All right, now back to me. I think it's important to remember, and this is for Alderman Hoffman, all we're doing tonight is basically just giving the green light to do the appraisal. Just like with any contract, you have contingencies. If you're going to rescind or back out of something, you've got to base that on some fact. The appraisal would be part of, should we decide not to move forward, that would be something we would basically use as a basis point for refusing the grant. But at this point, we have already committed to this project. So obviously, there's going to be a lot more further discussion, but once again, the appraisal is going to be a key part on whichever direction the board decides to go. And once again, at a cost estimated at $2,000, obviously it's worth it.
All right, let's move on to the motion portion. The motion to direct staff to move forward with appraisals necessary for the Highway 42 TAP grant project. Further discussion. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Alderman Osteen, do I have a second?
A second.
Alderman Morose. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. All right, staff communications. City Administrator Devin Lake.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. First of all, I just emailed out that job description for the project manager, so you have 3 weeks to look that over. I am very excited to tell you, and I am super excited that I got this done on my first try, but we got the State Distinguished Budget Award again for the 6th time.
Wow.
Never made a budget before, And April tried to talk me out of this once, to not apply for this, but I'm glad that we did, and we did it. So I'm excited about that. Don't forget, next Wednesday is strategic planning. Our facilitators have requested that you wear your name tags so that they know who you are. So we will have a facilitator.
I don't have a name tag.
You don't have a name tag?
Yes, you do.
I got 3 of them.
Well, I don't want yours.
Yeah, you do. I gave you one. I ordered one for all the board.
It's gone.
I saw it give it to you.
Are you serious?
I'll look again.
Red, white, and blue.
I tried to find it to the last thing we went to, and I couldn't find it. So.
We just got it not that long ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to sidebar that much, but.
So we have a facilitator in the morning. Her name is Lauren Palmer from EverStrive Solutions. And then we have Lindsay and Joe from Lauber Municipal Law doing an economic development strategic plan in the afternoon. So I'm excited for that. And then we announced that we got the budget award, and budget is quickly approaching again. So I'll be sending out all the information to the department heads, hopefully tomorrow, maybe early next week. But I'll start getting with the board to schedule workshops to go over the budget, and I look forward to doing that again. That's all I have.
Very good. Assistant City Administrator, April White.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. I just wanted to let everybody know that there will be a pretty decent round of surplus that'll be going live next week. And that'll be out on social media, and you'll get an email as well. And we're using GovDeals this year as our public auction service. Wanted to mention that I was out at the parks last Friday to look at that tournament, and Caitlin and Shay and Joey were doing a phenomenal job at the concession stand, despite, I'd say it was 105 in there probably in that. So I picked the wrong day to go out there, but they were doing a great job, and like you said, super busy, parents and kids everywhere, and they were doing a great job running like a well-oiled machine. I wanted to recognize Ty for his little story he told me yesterday. I was super impressed. I'll just say, I'll keep it generic and say some money savings for the city due to a malfunctioning beacon at Grand Glaze Airport, and just thinking outside of the box. And I just appreciate his willingness to dive in and consider all aspects before spending money with the city, like maybe a 30-cent part rather than thousands of dollars to someone else. So thank you for that. And just congrats to Detective Sergeant Salerno on his 20 years, and congrats to paramedics Joe Jackson and Floyd Handy and EMT Allie Johnson on receiving Employees of the Quarter for the second quarter for going above and beyond the call of duty. And that's all I have.
Very good. City Attorney Cole Bradbury.
Thank you, members of the board. I don't really have anything tonight other than to tell you that I will miss you at our next board meeting because I will be on the beach. So have fun.
You spend a lot of time on the beach.
I do my best.
All right. Tara, you have anything?
I know there was something, but I don't remember. I'll think about it. I should have wrote it down. I got some timers.
Chief Davis.
Congratulations to Brian and Allie and Joe and Floyd for their Employee of the Quarter. And then Ben Robinette, our last one that puts us at full staff, graduates the academy next Thursday. So he'll jump into field training that following Monday. So we'll swear him in that morning, and he'll be out on the road.
Very good. All right. Ty, you have anything for airport?
Nothing really from the airport perspective. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on the Highway 42 project, the TAP grant. Coming from somebody that drives that road at least a couple times a day during the week, there are oodles and oodles of people that walk the side of that road, all the way from the intersection there by Lowe's and even out beyond city limits to the apartment complex past Kaiser. It's truly unbelievable how many people walk that road.
All right, thank you. Michael Bean, you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everybody know we transitioned our final piece from our previous MSP. We're fully integrated with Communication Square for our office suite. Hopefully nobody noticed the transition. We did it after hours. Continue to move forward. Got a lot going on. I'm not going to get into all the details, but I just want to thank Travis again. He's a rock star all the way around. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Eric Gregory.
Yes, sir. Very quickly, again, I'd like to thank park staff. The last month, it's been a lot of long hours, 2 week-long tournaments and a few special events thrown in there. Also, while trying to maintain the park, keep the grass cut, making sure everything looks good. July 11th, I'd like to thank everybody that came out for the Bark Park After Dark. We had a good crowd out, and everybody was very thankful. So we're opening up the park a few nights in this month and next month after dark and turning the overhead lights on so it's not so hot, and everybody really appreciates it. We have a suggestion box down there, lots of compliments, and somebody even threw in a $100 bill donation a week or two ago, so that was very nice. We do have it scheduled for next Friday, July 25th, and August 15th and 29th. Also a reminder, Parks Movie Night, unfortunately, we had to reschedule for tomorrow night. We rescheduled that to August 22nd due to weather concerns. The good thing about August 22nd is it'll get dark an hour and a half earlier, so it won't be such a late night for families. And also relating to the dog park, we're adding an additional large shade structure tomorrow in the small dark area and getting ready for another weekend baseball tournament. That's all I have.
Very good. Public Works, Jeff Fisher. Nothing. Carrie Bell, you have anything?
Yes, Mayor and Board. I would like to make my annual thank you to the board for your support, for a quality staff, and the technology that it takes, not just to prepare this annual financial report, but also all of the financial systems that we work with every day are very high quality. And thanks to all the city's management team. There's not a department here that doesn't assist in this process to prepare this report every year. And a special thanks to April White for sharing her institutional knowledge and cross-training Torrin during this process this year. Selena Franklin, Keegan Powers was very instrumental in the audit process, as well as Bethany Gregory. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Gary Patterson.
Nothing for me tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Morose.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Alderman Osteen.
I have 2 items tonight, and neither of them are very pleasant. Apologies in advance. First, I know that there have been some delays and issues regarding the Veterans Memorial here at City Hall, but I still feel it's our responsibility as the center of the city to maintain that job site. There's no denying it's a hot mess when you pull up to City Hall. The weeds are basically at a 2-foot high height right now, and that circle, I just think, yes, it's been delayed, but I feel like we have not really maintained that site. So I guess what I'm asking is, can we at least get out there and do some weed control? Sorry, I didn't mean to pick on people, but it's all in perception, and it looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it is.
Not through our own fault, because once again, we're not the reason for the delays, but it is on our property. So once again, I preface this by saying I had unpleasant things, so forgive me. My second issue, I had the unpleasant opportunity to be involved in 2 instances regarding animal control in the past 30 days. Now, the city of Osage Beach does not have an animal control department. We don't have animal control officers, but when there are issues regarding animals, of course, they will want to reach out to the city. In both of these instances, animals had been hit. One of them was a deer that had been hit in a residential neighborhood. One was a cat that had been hit by a vehicle in a parking lot of a local business. In both those instances, obviously, the individuals called the city of Osage Beach, and we referred to Camden County, which does have an animal control department. The number for Camden County, though, basically is the sheriff's office. And in both those instances, the sheriff's office basically gave them responses of, we'll get to it when we get to it. In both those instances, those individuals stayed for a considerable amount of time waiting for someone to show up, and they never did. I know it's not us as a city's responsibility to deal with that. I can't imagine being in that situation where you're being called to euthanize animals, because in both those instances, the animals were severely injured, but they were alive. And it just breaks my heart that those animals basically laid by that roadside, and there was nobody that basically did anything regarding that. The individual with the cat said, you know, I've got a 22 in my car, but I don't want to euthanize a cat today. So I know on our website, we do have FAQs regarding animal control when people find lost or stray cats or dogs. But I think it'd be in our best interest to get a formalized policy, or at least get something out in the public eyes, just reminding them that unfortunately, we don't have anything to do with that. It is not, I don't want to say our responsibility, but we have limited resources in those circumstances, which is why we defer to Camden County. And unfortunately, their response to these situations was less than stellar, but those are our options. So I guess what I'm asking or wanting to know is, do we have anything formalized that we could put out into the public? Because in both those instances, they're wondering, why didn't the city do anything? Well, because we don't have the manpower or the wherewithal to want to take on that responsibility of euthanizing animals by the roadside, and then what do we do with their carcasses?
Bob, we do respond to those, and we do put down the deer, and
Speak up, chief.
we do respond to those incidents, and we do put down the deer. We do not put down domesticated animals. We do take those to the emergency vet. And
Okay, well, they were referred through the call center, non-emergency, to call Camden County, and then they're also told to call the Dog and Animal Shelter, which is not a care facility.
Right.
You know, it's not an emergency services rescue organization, you know, it's a drop-off care facility. And then said maybe call some local vets. But once again,
Can we get together offline and
correct.
figure out when this happened so I can go back and look at it?
Yes. Okay. Anyway, just want to throw that out there because, you know, really when those instances happen, we've got limited resources.
Yeah.
So Chief, you're saying that they should call the city, if they're within the city, call the dispatch, call police and tell them that they have this problem.
Correct. We put down deers all
That
the
we
time.
will.
Well, with the
So-
deer,
Maybe
that's
there was
different.
a situation with Bob's, but
Yeah.
just so the people that are listening out there, if they have that happen, they should call the city, and the city will take care of directing it or getting it handled.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to clear it up while we're on that.
As long as it's in the city limits.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Alderman Osteen?
That was all. Once again, sorry, everybody, for unpleasant conversations, but just wanted to point out a few things to our staff and departments.
Alderman Hoffman?
I think everyone's doing a great job. Mayor, thank you for the promotion tonight.
You're welcome,
That was
sir.
lovely. I really don't have anything. Everybody have a great weekend.
Alderman Barella?
Nothing further to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Rucker?
A couple things. First of all,
Remember that call.
I don't know if we need to contact our state representative, State Representative Vernetti, or what, but I think that the city should be aware of the situation that is going on down at PB1. There was a publication that was put out in reference to, there's 4 beaches that were closed July 4th, and one of them was PB1 due to E. coli. I think that's of great concern. Number one, it gets a black eye for our area because it talks about our area in Lake of the Ozark area. Number one. Number two is I'm concerned for us because I know there's discussion about at some point the park out there wants us to take over that sewer system, and I realize there's a lot involved with that. And the only reason I bring this up is this report doesn't say where that E. coli is coming from. So is it coming from the animals or is it coming from their system? So I just want to put a red flag up there that we make sure if we do some more or where we're at with that process, that we are aware that there is enough E. coli in the lake there that closed the beach and where's it coming from. And I think it'd be nice if we could do something to help rid that problem, whatever it is, because it's not good for our area. I don't know who we would put on to that or who we sick on that, but be nice if we could do something.
And if I could just add that I understood that the board's direction on the sewer system is that we're not to take that sewer system in. That was made loud and clear to me, and
That's where we were at. I just bring it up though, because
Yeah.
I know that it may come
And
up again.
staff will not be recommending that anytime soon.
Eric, you have something on that?
Yeah, Alderman Rucker, having managed two very large state parks, each with beaches, I can tell you that, and you probably know this, E. coli naturally exists in the lake or waterway at all times. State Parks is required during the season to take samples every Monday morning, Labor Day through Memorial Day through Labor Day. I think it's been a minute. And usually when they were higher than acceptable levels of E. coli, it was after a major rain event. So basically, you walk out there, the rain has stirred up all the muck on the bottom, and you basically go down with a bottle. So it's my opinion that that's probably why there were elevated E. coli levels. That's usually when we have a lot of rain, it stirs things up. I don't know that a leak or anything like that's contributing to it. So it's probably just all the rain we had recently.
I just think it's something we could see if there's whatever we can do to help that process out so we don't get a bad black eye. The other thing is Cole, are we going to have a funding agreement that's being presented to the board or in reference to Arrowhead? We've got the TIF hearing coming up on that in August. Isn't there going to be some need for some documentation and information?
We still have that funding agreement from 10 years ago, so we still have a funding agreement in place after all these years.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that, yeah, we've had that conversation with them. I actually got an email update from them today that they're working on the documentation the board requested. So that is very much in progress. But yeah, I believe Ed and David Bushek would have been the ones who took care of that in 2015.
I just assumed, and a nasty word assumed it was done contract.
It has still been out there, and we've been using it periodically since I've been here because Arrowhead has had these little issues from time to time that we're now moving to clean up.
Okay, check that one off the list. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. A couple things. First of all, congratulations, Brian, 20 years, and Devin on your award. That's outstanding. And I'm going to end tonight on a positive note because I wanted to congratulate our Q2 winners, Joe Jackson, Allie Johnson, and Floyd Handy. And I'm going to read to you what we received today, but for those who have not looked at their email or those at home, this is just really heartwarming and why these employees received the Q2 winners. But on Sunday, June 8, 2025, Osage Beach Ambulance Service crew members, paramedic Joseph Jackson and EMT Allie Johnson were on duty when they heard Osage Beach Fire Protection District get dispatched to a medical emergency where a 5-year-old child had fallen approximately 10 feet and was actively seizing. Osage Beach Fire had inquired where the ambulance was coming from, and they were advised that the incident was in Max Creek with an extended response time. Knowing that this was a critical call and time was of the essence, they made the decision to what we call jump the call and responded because we were the closer ambulance to the scene, even though it was outside our response area. Once on the scene, Joe and Allie began providing care and transported the child to Lake Regional Hospital for treatment. Once there, it was determined that the child needed to be transferred to the University of Missouri-Columbia due to the injuries sustained. The child was still unconscious and actively seizing. However, due to the incoming storms, a helicopter could not fly. The hospital did not have anyone that could drive the transport ambulance on duty. Allie, who also works part-time at the hospital, and her partner Joe contacted the ambulance supervisor, and the decision was made to take our ambulance out of service so that Allie could clock out here and clock in the hospital to drive the hospital's ambulance to get the child the care that was needed. While they were getting the team together for the transport, they contacted paramedic Floyd Handy, and he came in to staff our truck until Allie returned to duty from the transport. After a surgical procedure to address injuries that the child received during the fall, he woke up in the early morning hours, and they told him what had happened and that he had brain surgery. He stated, "I thought my head would hurt worse." He was released from the hospital 3 days after the accident without any noticeable effects so far. Our crew went above and beyond. They could just let the ambulance dispatch to the scene respond with extended response time, which could have been detrimental to the outcome of the patient. This is the kind of teamwork and dedication to our citizens and visitors, and which makes our team excel above all others. Get kind of choked up talking about that, because just think what could have happened if they had not done that. So congratulations to Joe Jackson, Allie Johnson, and Floyd Handy, and the City of Osage Beach Ambulance Services. That was outstanding job.
You're here.
Yes. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Hoffman, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose. All those in favor? Aye. All right, meeting adjourned.